Hi everyone, I'm Huub Hildenbrand. Thanks for tuning into my channel, Huub Hildenbrand Guitar Academia. Today we have a very special lesson, and this lesson is about the inner voice, how the inner voice controls the instrument, so that the impulse actually of playing, and that's especially important now, this lesson, for if you are an improvising musician. So that we actually we control the music by listening to the impulse which comes really from like the inner voice, the imagination, the inner imagination of sound. And it's a very, very special and a very important lesson, and we will take really our time here to really get into the subtleties of that practice. So let's get right into the endless ocean of music. Down in the description below you find the PDF which accompanies this lesson, and I really recommend that you do that. And as I said in the introduction, it's really an important lesson, I think. Okay, it's I also have this PDF here in front of me, and also when I'm practicing this myself, I also very often I use actually this written material. That's really a practice I'm doing a lot actually. That I take a certain topic, and then I write stuff out, and I put it in front of me while practicing, and I also add some stuff and rearrange things. So after a while there's actually a lot of material, and that's also the purpose here of this channel, to really share all that stuff with you, because it's ready to be spread over the world. All right. Okay. So let's get into today's lesson. The inner voice. The idea, or let's say we can also say there is an ideal way of improvising. There are of course more different concepts, but I think one really ideal way is that all you do on purpose. And to actually do that, in a way, you have to have some kind of an imagination, inner picture, or like a visualization of a fretboard or whatever. You have to have that in your in your head, in your heart, so that you have a certain idea, a certain melody, a certain note you hear, you want to hear. You think, wow, this note now would be perfect. So you really concentrate on this inner voice, and then you play that note. And because you already had this in your imagination, you can give this note actually like the maximum expression, because you know how it should sound like. And it's not just from the other way around, what we guitarists and also other instrumentalists, of course, do a lot. It's just moving the hands. So we play something because we know our scales or arpeggios or whatever, and we just play and we listen to it, and just in a way our hand is more like the motor of the whole improvisation process. And that way also, of course, we can get like great results, and of course, when we really know our material and the scales, we also can really avoid to play any wrong note. But I think there is a significant difference between like a real inspired musician who is really playing the music from the inside, from the heart, from the inner imagination. And the process is really to always be in contact with your inner voice. And and your inner voice is actually like an imagination of the notes, the melodies you wanna play. So that actually what comes from inside really controls the outside. So it's really like a process coming from the inside. I have a certain imagination. I want to have this melody going like that, or I want that note, or I want to go up to that note, and then comes the ability, of course, that needs a lot of practice, of course, like ear training or like scale practicing, arpeggio practicing, like a lot of stuff, and also a lot of experience, of course. But then to translate this thought immediately on your instrument. And so the thought is controlling the music you are playing. And I think this is not always, I mean, this is, as I said, it's an ideal way. And I think, I don't know, it's my experience up until now, that this ideal way is not always working. So that also, and we will cover this a bit later, it's also written on the PDF, that also some other things can inspire your playing, and that's perfectly fine. It's perfectly okay. It's all, everything is okay. I mean, we're just talking about to make the best music we can, and that of course has to do a lot with our own imagination, with our heart, with our feelings. So it's something, we don't want to play something and just then listen to it and evaluate, I mean, find out later whether we like that or not. No, that's a bit like trial and error in a way. But also that approach can lead more and more to this approach we are taking here, because by playing and improvising, trial and error, you also find out things. You also find out things about what do you want, what you like, and there will be a vocabulary after some time, and this will also lead that you also can to a point where you can also imagine these lines, these melodies, these ideas and sounds before you actually play it, and then play it and with the most of expression, and really like make really strong statements. But I think it's really great to not to only go that way by trial and error, but really go sometimes to really practice on a more deeper level. And my experience with this exercise I will give to you now is that really helps, and it's on a very subtle level, you can say, or subtle plateau. It's more like intuitive, you can say. It's not that you experience results immediately, but immediately after you practice that, but then with time it just comes on a I feel it comes on a deeper level slowly into your playing more and more, and without really that you control it in a way. You just strive for a kind of a deeper experience, for a really an action where you really listen into yourself, to your inner voice, and then translate that on your instrument, on your fretboard, and your hands. And so to learn about that, how does it feel? And this is a certain kind of a playing, to first listen inside and then play it. And this will come then later more and more into your playing, and you will find out the deepest experiences you will have with improvising. They often have to do with this kind of playing, with this kind of an experience, from this way from inside to outside, because that's actually very strong. If you really play and you feel a certain, you imagine a certain melody, and because it's so beautiful, and then you can instantly transfer it to your instrument and play it, and then you listen back to it because you played it, and suddenly it's in the room, and this can lead again to a lot of inspiration to go on. And if you are really into that process, so without interfering with too much other things, distractions like knowledge can be a real distraction sometimes, like thinking, oh my God, was this right, or which scale, or this, or I have to play fast and I have to show off now, and this kind of thing. This really kicks you out of the process. So it's really a thing. It's really a big thing, I think, to really be able to stay in this process, in this zone, you can say, and keep you keep that flow going, and it's always from the inside to the outside, and listening back, and then it comes inside, and new idea shows up inside, and then you play it, and this kind of a cycle we will discuss in this lesson, and I show you now the way I practice that. Okay, the first thing I do, I pick a scale. I pick like a collection of tones. First, for example, I will take D Dorian scale, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and just to because later on we go more into the into like practical tonal improvisation. We will come to that. I don't have to explain so much now. But it's just the idea to already we start with single notes, single tones, and we just want to make sure that these are already tones which we use in the second phase of the step 2 of the exercise. So we are a bit more prepared. You will understand that a bit later. So just pick a scale, D Dorian, and we just play any note of that scale. So I play the F, and I listen to that tone, and I go really deep with that. This first phase, this first step, I take about like 10 minutes. And the idea is to practice that you hear this note in your head. So you can play it, then you stop, and hear it in your head. Find out how long you can hold it in your head. I also practiced, and I'm still in a way doing from time to time, perfect pitch, absolute pitch. And the whole thing about absolute pitch is to recognize the colors of the notes. So every note has its color. Like the F has its color, the E sounds different, and to find out about these colors, you need this kind of a practice to really listen to them inside yourself. I mean, play it and then stop and listen inside your head, and you will notice that these notes are all sounding different, and this can eventually lead that you actually develop perfect pitch. I didn't so far. I mean, sometimes I notice tones, and I really know that that's an A or that's an F or F sharp or whatever, but it's not something I can rely on. I mean, but this kind of a practice really, there's something happening with listening and to music and playing music, is that the experience gets richer in a way, and that's maybe another course we will do. We will go into the field of absolute pitch, practicing that, without assuming that you will develop it, but it will be still a great and interesting experience and practice, and it will make you a better musician, even if you don't achieve that level where you can really rely on this, that you immediately know what kind of notes you hear. Okay, anyway, but I incorporate this idea that I really want to go deep into the sound of that note. And since I know every note has a different color, I really try to go into that. To really feel the note. And maybe also some images come to my mind, like or what kind of character does this note have? Is this more introverted or extrovert, or is it warm or is it cold? Is it more harsh? Is it round? Is it soft? Is it whatever? You can try to just let your fantasy do whatever it wants. So you imagine a person who is F. So how this person will be, or you are wandering around the nature, and you imagine how the weather would be with F. So what is the atmosphere of F? How does the F fills the room with what kind of an atmosphere? So all these questions, they're really interesting to ask yourself, and then something maybe can happen. So you go really into the sound on a very abstract level, and that's something we normally don't do, because we don't play like one note forever. I mean, so let's listen to that. And important, don't sing. Yeah? Never, in this exercise, never sing. It's really, we want to really force and teach our imagination here. And one good idea, one good concept, great concept, is play as you would sing out loud. So really have that connection. Think you're not playing, but you're singing that note. It really comes from inside. And then you stop and you imagine that note. after a while, you can go to another note, and you can try to imagine it first or play it first. It depends on your abilities. I hear, for example, the E very clear, or the G also. I mean, just by relative pitch, it's not so difficult. But to really hear it inside, very lively, this is the purpose of this exercise. So I play this E, I hear it in my mind. If you don't, as I said, just play it and then listen to it. And as I said, I choose these notes out of any notes out of the scale I selected before, like D Dorian. So I normally do that for 10 minutes, of course, without talking. Then I also can come back to the F again, if I hear it in my mind, it's very clear. And in that step one, it's not you don't have to do the whole scale. You just pick the scale to have certain notes, which you also will use later to already be very intimate with these tones, but it's enough when you just have 2 or 3 notes or just one. I mean, it's just this in a way it's a kind of a meditation, which brings you in a different zone, to be really, that your concentration is really there where it should be, like the awareness and the focus. I'm also doing this here in this lesson not just to talk and like just tell you what's written on this PDF, just to also in it and to really give you good advice, and also you see how it looks like. Now I can already like really clear imagine this D, but you don't sing that. You just listen to it in your head and play it. And play it only if you need. If you have this imagination in your head, just you don't have to play it. You can jump around now, for example, with these 3 notes. A bit. But it's more about like single notes here, just long notes. Center yourself. That's the E. Also be aware of the name, and the name equals the color, the sound. Okay, if you did this for like about 10 minutes, you go on to step 2. And step 2, there you wanna get this feeling for the whole scale, and for the it's more about relative pitch now, so about the relationships of notes. That the relationships of the notes really are now the main, you can say the main feature, what guides your imagination. Because of course the music we play, it's all about relative pitch, about the relationships to make a minor sound, or to have a Dorian scale or a major scale or whatever. And we are now not, in this second step, we are not so much concerned about the colors, about the single notes, but more in the way they are functioning. So how does this minor third in D Dorian sounds, or this perfect fifths? And this we want to go for that. That's our aim now. So actually real music. And I also advise you, if you practice that, to really, for example, take a scale which you are also playing in a composition of your repertoire. So you really connect this exercise with what you actually play, with the compositions you are playing. Maybe you have a composition which uses one scale as a basis, or you have to improvise over a certain period of just one scale. Then you can pick that scale, and later on you can also play more in time, in the real time, what the composition is composed in. Okay, so what we are doing, we try now to quickly go through the whole scale, to have this relative pitch, this image of the scale. How does it sound like, and to hear and play all the notes. But we try now to do that also, that our inner voice will guide you, will guide us here. So it's not, we don't play them all, but we try to now go quickly through the scale with imagining the notes first. So we have a D, and we hear the E inside, and this can take time. I mean, maybe you need 10 minutes to do that, or maybe not 10 minutes, but if you really have a hard time, just play it, and it's okay, and then listen to it and try to listen to that note inside yourself. Bring it into you, get intimate with the notes. So again, I hear E, F, G, A, B, C, D. And then back. I can also try to go through the whole scale in my head. It depends on your abilities but all what trains you, what makes you really aware and focus is great, and yeah, force yourself, not too much. It's not about forcing here actually, but try to take this time with your fingers off the instrument. Just imagine it. Try to imagine that. Okay, I can kind of imagine the scale now, and maybe I can just briefly also to secure the whole thing, just play a bit with the scale, yeah, to really get this picture. I'm into that mood. I know my notes. If I would play now a note which is not in the scale, I would immediately recognize this as a wrong note, or a note which is not in the scale. So I'm in this kind of a mood, in this kind of a sound, in this atmosphere. And now I'm going into the improvisation process. And I really take this activity of improvisation in a stepwise division. I divide the whole process of playing, of hearing, of inspiration, and playing again, and this kind of a cycle. I put this now into different steps, and at that stage, I take these steps very I really focus on the single steps now. So the first step And in a way, like page 1 and this cycle, this graph, the sketch you see, they are in a way like step 2 and this cycle. This is actually almost like the same thing here. So just take that together and listen what I'm doing. Okay, so what we are doing, I just play this scale again because okay. I stop, silence, and I wait for an idea what shows up in my mind. I wait sort of for inspiration. What is my intuition says? What does it want? And I hear something. I hear FED, for example. And take your time. I mean, if nothing appears in your head first and you just hear your neighbors, then take your time. Maybe play a bit in the scale and then stop and try again. So I hear FEG, and what I'm doing, and that's the first step, like on the 12 o'clock position. The inner voice, imagination, inner anticipation. So you imagine a certain note or 2 notes or a certain melody or a fragment or maybe a longer thing, just depends. And I hear this in my head. And now, before I play it, I visualize this on my fretboard, on the fretboard. And I can go very deep with that. It's maybe not something you have to do so much, so long, but it's good to see the notes, like in your imagination, in your visualization. You visualize these notes. You see the F there, the E there, and the D there, and you can just have this purely in your imagination. F, E, open string, D. And you also can think about your finger, like 3rd, 2nd finger, and then open string, for example. And you can also go more far, and you can really feel, I mean, really imagine how it feels to get a real lively inner picture of that. But the most important thing, of course, is to hear that in your head, because now you know how to play it, you know where the notes are, and you try to give that the maximum expression. So you're not just hearing notes. I hope you're feeling something. You feel it's more aggressive, it's more soft, it's more mysterious. It's the last note is very loud, or the first is very prominent, and the second is just very soft in between, or whatever. I mean, really go into that, and all these nuances and subtleties of that imagination. Try to play that, and then you do that. So that's step 3 on the 6 o'clock position. You play and attentive listen to that attentively, and so it's in a way it's the execution making the sound. It's like one thing: execution, movements of the body, and the sound. And there is a certain kind of a difference of hearing, of listening. The one is just hearing it, what you're doing. Yeah, you play that, and in the moment you play it, of course you are very connected with that because you imagined that before. So it's not something from outside. It's really coming from inside. But you should then take the time to concentrate on, in a way, more on the emotional quality of what you just did. So it's also a kind of listening to also inside, but also to the silence. That's very important actually, to really listen to the silence, and maybe you have also some kind of a reverberation. So depends on your room. Maybe you have a nice room or you have a nice reverb, and then it's still like it's still sounding in a way, like in a mysterious way. I like that a lot, to use this reverb. And you concentrate on that. So in a way on the more how do you say, metaphysical or more spiritual, or like this feeling aspect is not like a material thing. It's not a hard thing. It's really like you can't have it in your hand and whatever. It's really like or transcendent. That's actually the word I was looking for. It's more in a way what you just played creates a universe, a world, a kind of an endless ocean. I'm always saying this here on the channel also. I feel it's going into like an endless, or not endless, but in a kind of a dark room, and it's there, and the notes really fill this place with this sound and emotional like energy, and it's also kind of a spiritual thing without having this God in mind. It's like this mystery. I can't put it into words. Okay, if you so concentrate on that kind of feeling. And if you do that, you make it really easy for the inspiration to just feel inspired and think, oh wow, that's beautiful. Now I want to go there. And I hear now, so I have this. And this hearing and playing, and this was already another cycle here on this page. So what you should do is to go really slowly, step by step, through this cycle. Yeah, you have these four stations there, and this sixth one, which is inspiration, which is like hearing inside and hoping that something appears. If nothing appears, don't play anything. Maybe what you can play is just the root of the scale to get you centered, and then maybe some inspiration will show up. Later on, also you see this on the page, and this is like a personal collection which you can add, of course, like other things, like sources of inspiration, because this inner hearing and this kind of a thing is not the only inspiration there is. So it's not wise to say this is the only right way how to play. You can also have like certain movements with your hand, or like knowledge, you know, okay, this this chord really likes to go to that, and you also hear this in your head in a way, you feel it, but it's maybe not that clear as this approach, like what we are doing, like this the first point, melodic continuation. So this is like what we are doing, and we try to continue the melodic flow from the inside. I mean, we try to control it from the inside. Okay, really get this PDF downloaded. Also, this supports my channel. This would be really good, and very. I think also there are some points I'm not talking about now. Maybe you get some little extra information, maybe, or you just have. I like to have this also when I'm practicing. I like to have these papers at hand, so to speak, so I can practice and I can see it and read. Okay, this is. I can remember, and I also can add maybe some notes where I think, okay, this is important, or I for example, with these sources of inspiration, maybe you write like some different points, or you erase certain points, because here like you have microtones are also like an inspiration for me. Maybe you don't have any microtones, you don't want to have this sound, so you don't get inspired, so you can just erase it. So it's also a kind of a process there. How I work a lot, actually. That's also why I gain so much material now. All right. Now this step 2 has also like there's also a step 3, and this step 3 is about that you practice what I just explained to you, and you try more and more to make this process, this cycle more and more quicker, more and more, but in an organic way. Never force something. Really wait for your inspiration, and then imagine that on the fretboard very briefly, and then play it and listen to it, and then having your inspiration. And this can be quite, don't force it, but after a while, if you don't force it, it will naturally become quicker and organic. It's no use to force that process. There is no benefit, I think. It's this kind of meditation thing, and you can't force when you're meditating or something like that. You will not gain anything from that. It will be a bad experience, or it will be, for you, maybe this exercise then will be really boring, but it is not boring. You really can center yourself back into the music, and when you play, then it's a different experience. All right, so step 3, bring this more and more together as one thing. Your playing is actually imagine this, play it, listen, and get inspired to go on. So that everything you play really comes from the inside. And at first it's just very slow. So you maybe maybe that's already too fast, actually. So don't care about speed so much. Just care more about that these phases will come together, and that you always have the feeling not your hands are controlling what you're doing, but it comes from the inside. You follow your heart, your inspiration, and you have a certain imagination, and then you play. You're not so much surprised at what you're playing. You're really connected with a kind of with your inner self, with your inner voice. You will find out about, if you're not already know this kind of a zone, so to speak, you will find out about this kind of feeling, and then you can play this more quickly, and you know that you're doing it right. So right, yes. I show you what I mean. How when I'm in that zone, how I play. And then, more and more, it can be also, you can approach this in time. And but take your time also. Not always play. Just you have a time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this kind of a thing. I'm not really completely satisfied with what I just did, because it's a bit weird situation to do that in like a very small like teaching how do you say teaching dose, so to speak. It's when I normally would do that, I would just take much more time to go into that and repeat more, and maybe do a lot of like this jala movement. Maybe we also didn't talk about that. Anyway, it's a bit weird now here to demonstrate that in a way. It's always a bit weird to make these videos. I don't know, it's in a way, I think it's a bit more that you judge yourself. I mean, that I'm judging myself, and that's also not really helpful. It's like the same when I read an interview with Nikhil Banerjee, a sitar player, and he also said like he feels like very sometimes really uncomfortable with recording. It's like because in a way maybe his ego comes into place and into play, and then actually the music is lost very easily. So in a way you have to let go your ego. You have to open yourself for the music to come, and that's difficult even in this kind of a situation. But anyway, I hope you really got something out of that lesson. I think it's a very important lesson, and I think it's very helpful to do. Just do that for some days, and I think you will notice that something happens in your playing. And please, if you make any experiences, leave comments down below, and let me know what happens, or maybe you have questions or other ideas about the whole thing. Would be really cool to have some interaction here also. If you like these lessons here on Guitar Academia, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and you can also support my work here on this channel on this link down below in the description to my website. There is also a button where you can donate. This would be really great. And so that's it for this lesson. See you next Friday. Every Friday there will be out another lesson, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. My name is Huub Hildenbrand.